Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday, or whenever you're watching this. I know I'm not usually live on Tuesdays. However, I did not have time to tape a video. Okay. Your girl has been grinding. I've been in the lab, okay, between business stuff and whatnot. And then, of course, it's 2 days before Thanksgiving. There's a lot going on. The stores have been crazy since last week. Traffic has been crazy since last week. So, I just didn't have time to tape a video and I didn't want to not show up. So, this live hopefully isn't too long because typically Tuesdays will be, typically Tuesdays are upload days, but we shall see. For those of you catching the replay, I'm going to get started exactly at the 3-minute mark. So you could go ahead and skip ahead if you want to, because I know how it is when you're on the replay and you're like, okay, where did they get started at? So at the 3-minute mark of this live stream, that's when I get started on the topic. But if you are coming in here or, you're catching the replay, feel free to leave your advice for women in their 20s in the comments or in the live chat, because I do want it to kind of just be like a collaborative, like sisterly advice type of vibe. So I think I have 5 pieces of advice and I'm going to break them down and then I'll be out of you guys' hair. Okay. Tonight's not going to be too long. But other than that, I hope everyone's doing well. I hope everybody has a great Thanksgiving. Obviously, you're going to see me tomorrow and Thanksgiving Day. So, but just in case you're passing through, feel free to hit that subscribe button. I handle or talk about all things business, faith, and life on this channel. And I do it from like a girl next door neighborly kind of way, and we spill the tea. And honestly, it's just a good time here. It's a good time. It's a family vibe. And there's a lot of exciting things coming down the pike. So if you are not subscribed already, go ahead and hit subscribe. And don't forget to like and this video and comment as well. Also, I'm going to go ahead and say that, like I said, tomorrow will be my morning motivation per usual. And Thursday, Thanksgiving night, I will be doing a live chit chat and story time. So make sure you are in the building and it's just going to be a good time. And then Sunday, I'm going to do a live get ready with me. Hey, Alicia, I'm going to do a live get ready with me and whatnot for my birthday. So that's that. I'm going to get started in like 40 seconds. And this video hopefully is not too long because typically Tuesdays are my upload days, but I didn't want to not show up. So yes, leave your comments and your advice in the comments and in the chat as well. Just leave whatever you want to say, whatever you would say to like your 20-something-year-old self, or if you're in your 20s, your younger 20-something-year-old self, whatever advice you have, leave it so that we can help other women. And if you're 30 and up, then definitely leave your life lessons. So a couple more seconds and we're going to dive right in. Let me go ahead and pull up my notes and we will get started. So yep, got my notes. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started because it is about the 3-minute mark. So as you guys know, like I've been saying, my 33rd birthday is on Sunday, November 28th. So, when your birthday is coming up, you start, and usually your birthday and New Year's, like at least for me, you start sitting and reflecting on life and just like where you've been and where you are and where you're headed and all that good stuff. And so this is no different, So I was like, what are some things that if I could go back in time and tell my 23-year-old self 10 years ago, what would I say? Like, what would be the pieces of advice I would tell 23-year-old Rondell, being the woman that I am now and having the wisdom that I have? I know you're still your 20s, Alicia, but hey, like, give us advice, from the trenches. Like, give us advice, leave it in the comments and in the chat or under the video if you prefer. But yeah, like, let us know because, I'm not like that far removed, but I'm far removed enough to where it's like, it's all a blur, But my first piece of advice, or things I wish I knew in my 20s, or my first piece of advice, is to pursue the career you really want to pursue. So I think a lot of times we definitely follow what our parents want us to do, what our friends suggest we should do, or like, family friends and things like that. Like basically people in your life, they're like, oh, you should do this, you should do that. Like I know when I was in college, and I feel like nowadays it's maybe not as bad, but I know back when I was applying to colleges in 2005, 2006, mainly 2005, it was like, you said, I need the advice. Okay, that's fine. You can just listen. But if anything pops in your mind, feel free to leave it. But, back in 2005 when I was applying and stuff, it's just like, everybody was like, you should do this career. You should do that career. Like this career pays, this career is going to get you the money. Like that was very much the thing. I feel like nowadays parents are a little bit more understanding, but maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm just seeing it from my circle and stuff like that. Y'all can let me know in the comments, but doing that, pursuing what other people say you should pursue, I get it because you want to make your family and your friends, like especially close friends that are like family, happy. But at the end of the day, what I found doing that is that I was getting paid. Like at the peak of my career, those of you who have been following me long enough, you know I've shared this before. And maybe if you're new here, you don't know. But I left the government. I did almost 8 years in the federal government, and I made it to the peak of my career at the age of 26, making just over $90,000 a year. And had the money, had the lifestyle, but was miserable, was not using any of my passions, wasn't using any of my, purpose, my talents, none of that. Like it was just like you have the title, you have the life, you have the image of like, oh, it's all great. But I was miserable, and some people they will stick it out for that paycheck because by now, your girl would have been well into the six figures, okay? But so some people definitely would have stuck it out for the money. But I've always been a very passionate, purpose-driven person. So I did that for some time. Like 8 years is quite a while, to climb the ranks and try to stick it out. But it just got to a point where I was like, I can't do it. And for me, that was when my dad almost passed away. And I had to shift my role in my family to be more of a caregiver than just like a child, And so that's when it really hit home for me. Like, yeah, you got to have autonomy over your own schedule. You got to be your own boss. So, because my boss at the time was just really insensitive and was like, you're just not pulling your weight. And I'm sitting here having to deal with the father that I'm not sure if he's going to make it type of thing, And I always had an entrepreneurial mindset. I grew up with parents that were entrepreneurial, but I always hid behind, like I said, my family saying, or other people saying, oh, you should do this, you should do that. You're talented in this. Why don't you look into that? It pays money, this, or the third, like the power, the money, the success, all that. So if you pursue the career you really want to pursue in your 20s and you get in there early, like by the time you hit my age, you could really be killing it. Like had I did this 10 years ago, especially this, like YouTube 10 years ago in 2011, what? I would be like Jackie Ina status right now. Like I would have really been killing it. That was before algorithms. That was before people even really knew what an influencer was. That was before like all of that. So I would have got a leg up, And I did try in 2012, 2013 with my ex-fiance, but we just didn't understand it at the time. But if I had really taken it seriously back then, what? I will be good right now. So one of the hardest decisions of your 20s is figuring out what you want to do and actually really pursuing it. And I'm not saying you got to have it all figured out because a lot of people feel like I got to have it all figured out before my 30s. I guarantee you 9 times out of 10, what you thought you were going to do or what you wanted to do is going to change. And that's okay. Like be okay with embracing the pivot. I think I'm doing that now, pursuing what I want to do. Yeah, I would say you're in your bag right now, Alicia. Like for real, you're in your bag. Like I've seen the growth in just the months that we've known each other. And I see the passion behind what you're doing. Like you're really on the right trajectory from where I'm standing. So I left the government. Yes. You said I would have kept that 90K. I'm over here. I'm over climbing up the ranks. Listen, like it was great. I was like, wow, I can't believe I'm making this much at this age. I was the youngest Black woman to hold the position that I held in that organization. It was amazing. I'm not going to lie in that sense, but miserable. I mean, I was crying going to work every day. I was at the height of my anxiety attacks. I was just really in a bad space, physical health deteriorating, mental health deteriorating. It just wasn't worth it. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and pursue. And that first year that I left, like, I guess you could say when it was still kind of my gap year, when I wasn't sure if I was going to go back into a 9-to-5 in corporate America, I explored a lot of different things. I got my real estate license. I sold clothes. I did hair. I did so many different things, sold jewelry, until I kind of stumbled into what I'm doing now. And now I'm like, this is it. Like it took me a couple years to get here, but it's like, this is my bag. Like I know this is what I want to do. Even if it looks different, you're welcome. Over time, I know this is what I want to do. Both my parents work in the government. Oh, really? Yeah. People in the government don't leave. Like when I tell you everyone thought I was crazy, they were like, why are you leaving? Like, what in the world? I would love to trade shoes with you. And I'm like, hey, I just can't. So that's my first piece of advice. Pursue the career you really want to pursue because the money truly will follow you when you're doing what you love to do. But I will caveat and say a little disclaimer here. The money will follow, but don't like literally be broke, busted and disgusted, waiting for the money to follow. While you're pursuing your purpose and passion, you might have to do both. Like it's okay if you go ahead and say, okay, I'm gonna get this job. I know that if all else fails, if I have to stay in this industry, in this, niche, in this particular job market, then I can make it work. Like I can survive with it. I can get by and not literally completely lose my ish. But at the same time, I'm gonna work on my business. So I think you want to do both. Honestly, that would be my wisest piece, is to get you some income while you're pursuing your purpose and passions. Like, even though I'm almost monetized on YouTube, y'all, even though I have gotten paid 4 figures to be a business coach, which I prefer mentor now, as I'm slipping into that category, I definitely still go out and do Uber. I'm dressed like this because I literally just came in the house about an hour ago from doing Uber, so it's like, you got to have money to make your money. And when you're pursuing your passions and purpose, it's going to take a little while. So don't be above it. Be like, I'm not going to work because it's going to follow me. It's going to follow, but it's going to take a little time. Be ready to lace up, right? Ready to lace up. My dad is retired military. Oh, okay. Have you talked about that transition from government to like self-employed? I haven't really done a full video on it, but it's on my list of videos to do. So it's definitely coming up. I just don't know when, because I think a lot of people just need like a realistic, like, hey, this is what it looks like. If you're gonna take that plunge type of thing. So that's advice number 1. Pursue the career you really want to pursue. Advice number 2, or things I wish I knew, is you will fall in love again. Okay. I feel like me and I wouldn't say everybody, but most of the people that I know in our 20s, we were either married, engaged, or we really like came across the love of our lives. And for some reason, it didn't work out. It was like an unrequited love type of thing. And that's really heartbreaking. Okay. Like, you feel like, I'm never going to find somebody else. And some of us are still out here searching. Okay. Me over here. Others of us have found somebody that is like a better partner. But needless to say, when you go through heartbreak, especially like the younger you are, like in high school, we know heartbreak in high school is like super dramatic. But even in your young 20s, it can feel like, man, like, I'm never going to find a connection like that again. But I'm here to remind you, or to tell you, that you will find a connection again. And maybe it will remind you of the person that you lost right now, or that you're in love with, and they're just not giving you the same love in return. But I used to really think like that was it. Like, and granted, you'll never have a connection like that with that person ever again, but you will connect with somebody again. Like, love is still out there to find you. And I would personally tell my younger self to let it go sooner rather than later, because a lot of times we hang on to toxic and unhealthy relationships in our younger years, especially in our 20s, because again, we're like, I don't want to reach 30 and still be single. I don't want to have to start over. I don't want to have to date. And that relationship ain't going nowhere. That's not the person for you. But here you are hanging on. Like, let it go, so the better person for you has space to enter your life, and you're not preoccupied with someone that it's not going anywhere with. Let me speak my man into existence. Yes, like, now is the time to really start sitting down and thinking, like, what do I want in a man? If you're single, and if you're not single, reevaluate, is this really the man for me? Like, really get down to the brass tacks of it all and figure out if that is the man that you need to be with or not, period. Okay. But you will fall in love again. And I will say, you will find new friends again, because I lost a lot of friendships in my 20s. And at that point, it was like, all these people are leaving me now. I just recognize it's part of life, it's part of growth. So you will have healthy relationships again, or you will just have them if you never had healthy relationships before. But yeah, definitely let go of that man. Like, so you can, that's no good for you, so you can make room for the one that is better. The third piece of advice that I have is, you can still have happiness and joy despite your life not fitting the status quo. So again, bringing it back to, like, we tend to look at the age of 30 as like, if I reach this age and I don't have all these things, that I'm a failure. And listen, you're big sis, okay, sitting here talking to you right now, about to be 33, and it's almost like my life, from the outside looking in, it's like my life has gone backwards. When I was in my mid-20s, had the place, had the cars, multiple cars, had the income, had all this stuff, the life and whatnot. And I used to place so much weight on that. Like, that is what made me, and like I said, when my dad almost died, I had to kind of do a reevaluation of myself, because all of those things went away. I moved back home. I lost both of those cars over time. I left the government, and started exploring self-employment so that I could have the flexibility to be a caretaker for my parents and things like that, particularly to help with my dad at the time. And so when I was losing all those things, it's like I lost a piece of myself. I lost my identity. I lost my confidence, my pride, because it was like that was what defined me. Being able to say, oh, I hold this position in this organization, I live in this house, I drive that car, I go here, I go there, I make this, at the third. It was like my identity. So when I lost it, I didn't know what to do. And then I ended up going through like just kind of like an eat, pray, love journey. You know, I had to kind of like get myself back together. But I also dealt with a lot of like anxiety and like depression and stuff because of it, because it was like, who's gonna want to be around me, let alone be with me in a relationship, you know, because now I'm not that power chick. And growing up in the DMV, it's all about power, it's all about status, it's all, I mean, it's the nation's capital, it's the most powerful city in the world. So, you know, it's all about that. Like, you got to have a resume a mile long, you got to be out here dipping and doing it in your career, you got to be out here crushing it, okay? Because when you think that you bad and bougie and you that chick, there's a million others to your left and your right that are making you look like you ain't doing nothing. Okay, it's just that type of city. And so you can imagine like the mental kind of turmoil that I went through in that process. But it's like I spent so much time like lamenting over the fact that I didn't have that life anymore, the American dream, quote unquote, that I really lost out on precious time that I can't get back, versus embracing the journey wholeheartedly and saying, you know what, like, this is cool. And honestly, today, even though, yeah, I'm not exactly where I was 6, 7, 8 years ago, I definitely am at my happiest and my most joyous. I have so much joy and peace and happiness right now. And it's like, is it always perfect? No. Am I always in a great mood? No, because life gets real. Okay. When them bill collectors start coming and your month is, as a self-employed person, is looking a little tight, like you got more month at the end of your money. Okay. Like stuff like that gets real. You're like, okay, now like I am happy, but that's why I said in the first point, have a job along with pursuing that purpose and passion until you get to a point where it really can, you know, help you survive, or you know, basically you're surviving off of your purpose and passion. Then you don't have to do a 9 to 5 if you don't want. Nowadays there's so many, like, or traditional 9 to 5 I should say, because nowadays there are so many like work at home jobs, or just, you know, 1099 gig work, contract, self-employment type things. You don't have to necessarily get a typical, like, you know, 9 to 5. You can find something, but just have some income coming in from elsewhere while you're pursuing your purpose. But yeah, that's the third one. The next one is work on your credit early and get your finances in order. Okay. If I had given my credit as much energy as I've been giving it in the past like 2 years, I would have like perfect credit score. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. There were so many things that I did to waste the money that I was making. It's like I could have definitely like just invested better, did things better, where today I would be in a better position. Like, and of course it's all lessons learned, you know, things happen. But at the end of the day, it's like you want to work on those things early. We tend to think we got a lot of time to get there, but what happens when you want to buy a house? What happens when you want to get a nice car? You know, what happens when you want to make certain moves? And honestly, from 10 years ago, credit has really become a ruling factor on like everything in life. You can't, like, 10 years ago, credit didn't affect your car insurance. It didn't affect, you know, all these other things the way that it does now. Like, you could have basically skimmed by with, you know, kind of sketchy credit. It's not, wasn't going to get you the best interest rates and stuff, but you could have definitely like skimmed by. But now it literally rules the world. Like, your credit needs to be on point. So work on that early. And I also put get your finances in order, because, you know, you want to start getting like a savings account. You want to start investing, like I said, you know, not just in your job's 401k or whatever, but actually invest in other things. Like, really, if you have the patience and the tenacity to find someone to help you with the stock market, that's a great way to invest. You can invest in so many different things. You know, you can find things to invest in, but basically invest, and also buy I forgot the actual technical term for it, but buy pieces of like material things that appreciate in value. So like gold and certain gems great things to invest in, because heaven forbid you ever like fall on hard times or whatever, those things grow in value. So that's good assets to have. Invest in real estate. Airbnb now is a big thing, but even if you don't want to go that route, just invest in real estate. Investing in certain designer bags, so like a Louis Vuitton, and I'm not even a designer person to that degree where it's like, oh, it's got to be this, got to be that. But if you're going to spend the money, like things like that appreciate in value over time. So invest in certain pieces like that appreciate over time. Get your credit in order, get several lines of revolving credit, use your credit cards for certain purchases so that the payments and the interest rates on your credit cards work out better than you using your actual liquid cash on your debit. Like have a couple of credit cards, both secured and unsecured. Like make your payments on time. Get different lines of credit. So don't just have a bunch of retail cards. Get some, like I said, Merrick Bank is one, Credit One Bank. Like you can go put money on these cards and it helps build your credit quickly. Even if you have bad credit, it helps get your credit back up, make your payments on time, have some car loans. Like, don't be scared to work on credit. Like, a lot of us are scared to even get credit cards. Just be wise about it. Get a savings account and don't get a debit card to your savings so you can't just draw out the money. Like, do different things like that. Do you be scared of gig work? Honestly, not really. But I'm not gonna lie, like I tend to work a lot of nights. So when I'm out and about delivering food and stuff at night, certain neighborhoods can make me like, I don't know, but I'm usually on the phone with one of my boo things at night, and I try to stay in neighborhoods that I know, so I don't really get too scared. But I also have started shutting it down earlier just so that I could really focus on my dream, because there's only so many hours in a day, and I'm a home mom out here, and I got a lot of stuff going on, and I help my mom with her stuff, so I'm like, I gotta come in earlier. But yeah, I think gig work, the scariest part about it is that it's not predictable like W-2 work. When you have your W-2 job, you can say, okay, in 2 weeks, I know I'm going to get this much. This is how much my check's going to be. Like, you could plan a lot better. Gig work does have an element of unpredictability. So you're going to have to really kind of like figure it out and kind of figure out your groove and work accordingly. It takes discipline, and it definitely takes you being able to hustle. If you don't have a hustle spirit, it's probably not for you. Like you probably just gonna want to have to get you a 9-to-5. Yes, girl, the boo things. I got a roster. But yeah, definitely. And also another thing too, in the finances point, is to start your estate planning. So I put that as a little sub note. Start estate planning, because again, we don't know when it's going to be our time. We pray we live a long, fruitful life, but you just don't know. So don't wait, because I've seen too many people like that, family friends of mine or friends of friends who, like their child's father passed away at a young age and he had nothing, no life insurance, no trust, no will, nothing written down, nothing. And it became a huge fight, and it makes the grieving process a lot more painful. So, you can adjust these things over time. So of course, like what if you create a will in your 20s, and in your 40s and 50s, it's not going to be as relevant. Like you can add things in, you can definitely like adjust things. There are websites like Trust and Will is one. You can Google in your area and find a lawyer to help you with that kind of stuff. So definitely start getting your house in order. So again, we not looking forward to it in that sense. Like, oh, it's definitely coming, soon, but you just want to be prepared. Like, get your house in order so that there's no issues, and get life insurance outside of your job. Like, your job is great, but you want to have others that are more inclusive and have other benefits as well. So there are, like I said, lawyers and all sorts of people that you can talk to. I need a roster mind dropped. Listen, now's the time. Okay, it's cuffing season. They out here, sis. They out here. I want to start investing. Yeah, like I know a couple people that invest. I honestly need to talk to them and sit down, because I'm not super well versed in it. But yeah, like find some groups. I'm sure there are groups on Facebook and different meetup groups and stuff. And you can kind of get around people that really have been in the game, really can help you with some things. But I know one thing I do want to start investing in is real estate, like here, so that is one thing I do want to do from that angle, because that's always great to invest in. So the next piece of advice I have, I only have two more, and then I'm going to be out of you guys' hair. Make tending to your mental health a priority and set boundaries. Like, again, you tend to think in your 20s that you're just young, invincible, like nothing's gonna get to you. You can just handle it all. And it's like, take breaks. Like I'm telling you, when your 30s hit, your body feels it. Okay. Like I can't eat some of the foods I used to be able to eat in my 20s. I can't go as hard in the paint as I used to. Like you just feel it, like your body's just different. And don't let you have a child, like you definitely gonna feel it. Okay, so it's like you just got to start from now, like start setting those parameters in place now, where it's like I'm going to stop working at this time. And again, as those of us who are self-employed or entrepreneurs, we don't have a set 9 to 5, so it's very easy for us to just keep going like the Energizer Bunny, and just, oh yeah, I'm just gonna keep doing this, keep doing that, keep doing this, keep doing that. And it's like, no, like shut it off, go off. I don't care what else you got to do, because your to-do list is probably going to be a mile long, especially if you're doing multiple things. Like maybe you are doing gig work, and then you're doing YouTube, and then you're doing this and you're doing that. Your to-do list is going to be long. Okay, it's never going to be clear. So you might as well give yourself a strict cutoff time and let the chips fall where they may after that. Like, don't even push yourself. I'm telling you, you're going to feel it, because I'm feeling it. Because I really pushed myself in my 20s. I was really doing the most, the absolute most on all fronts: career, business, social life, all of that. So definitely set boundaries, and also commit to a journey of healing. So this falls into the mental health thing. Commit to a journey of healing. Like get a therapist, get a counselor, get someone who you can trust, that you can unleash your baggage onto, that's not going to be biased, that's going to be able to really guide you into your healing and into your wholeness journey. You'll never be perfect, but you want to work on that, because as you get older, it just piles on. Like life happens, more trauma piles on, more things happen. So get in the habit of like actually working through those things now, so in your 20s, so that you can be the best version of yourself. Every day that you wake up, you're like one step closer to being like a better version of yourself, So use this time to face your traumas, seek the help that you need to heal from them. So that way, before that relationship comes with your spouse or whoever your future partner is, you are already on the journey, so that you can really not be trauma bonding with people, and not be, kind of connecting with people through like your, I forgot, there's a technical term, but it's like your inner child, like that kind of thing. You really want to like not be walking around with unresolved trauma and things of that nature, because it does impact the relationships you have. It impacts how you show up to work, how you show up in your business. It impacts so many different things. So in your 20s, tend to it. I know, again, you think you're young, you're invincible, you ain't, it's all rolling off your back. No, get you a therapist, get you somebody. You need a third party, because family and friends can only do so much. And honestly, they're going to be biased because they're in your life, So you'd be surprised how much committing to a journey of healing can impact your life for the better. So the last point I have is, and this honestly should have been number one, but prioritize God in every area of your life and really pursue him relentlessly. Because y'all, when I look back on my life, all my hot mess situations have been when I was just, my spiritual journey was all jacked up. Like I just was not, I was not tapped in. I was not aligned, So every time my focus shifted from like what God wanted me to do and what was the best move as far as that is concerned, I was on the losing end. It might have looked like I was winning in the beginning, but I was on the losing end. But when I was like really tapped in and aligned and like seeking him first, and it was like, okay, like this is what you want me to do type thing, even if it looked completely crazy from the outside looking in, it worked out. I might have had some bumps along the way, but it worked out for my good, because that's just what it is. Like you got to be able to pursue him relentlessly, because honestly, when you do that, the mental health is definitely going to be a little better for sure, if not completely healed. And it's just going to give you clarity and confidence to know that you're like walking in the right direction, especially when you are pursuing purpose and you're doing things like that. Like you got to be tapped in so that you can know, otherwise you're just going to be lost in the sauce. Like it's so much that goes into it. So that is important. So basically, those are my tips. I'm gonna read them off again, and there's so many more. Like I said, leave some of your own in the comments under the video if you're watching this replay. But my tips are: pursue the career you really want. You will fall in love again. You can still have happiness and joy despite your life not fitting the status quo. So even if you don't have, the husband, the house, the cars, the 2.5 kids and the white picket fence, like your life can still be a success. Work on your credit early and get your finances in order. Okay, now in your 20s. Make tending to your mental health a priority and set boundaries. No is no. Learn how to say it. Get confident saying it. And like I said, get that third-party assistance and prioritize God in every area of your life, y'all. Relentlessly pursue him. I'm telling you, like, it's a game changer. So that's all I have for you. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for watching this replay. Don't forget to hit subscribe if you're not subscribed to the channel. Thank you, Alicia. I'm glad you love the tips. And thank you for joining me on my impromptu live. Sorry I didn't have a pre-recorded video for y'all, but we're going to be back on it next week. Like, Thanksgiving week is crazy, and I'm going live every day this week. So tomorrow, catch me for Morning Motivation. Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, I will be here with a story time and live chit chat, probably with a glass of wine or something. I don't know, but we about to be having some good old story time. And my mom will be live on Thursday as well. And she also has a really big announcement that you do not want to miss out on, that she's going to make on her live stream on Thursday while we're prepping for Thanksgiving. So y'all have a good night. Love y'all. And I will see you tomorrow morning. Bye.